One.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's special episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Today we have Sean Terry, Flip to Freedom, the legend himself, another major wholesaler in the Phoenix market, and we're here to talk about how Sean has done 2,500 plus transactions for over $40 million in fees.
Crazy. What's up? So what we got? We got
three cameras.
We got 3 cameras here. We got Facebook going, YouTube going. So what's up, crew? I'm happy here to answer your questions, talk real estate, and talk to my man Steve here.
We're gonna do it.
Ready to rock the house?
We're gonna rock the house. So guys,
see, I usually like to stand up. Right? You gotta stand up here. So we might be standing up right here. So camera guy in the back over there, you have to deal with that.
If it's your first time tuning in, guys, I'm Steve Trang, broker and owner of Stunning Homes Realty, founder of the OfferFast Homes app, the only MLS for off-market wholesale properties.
Boom.
And I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. So if you want to join us in that movement, follow me on Instagram, steve.trang. If you're excited for today's show, please give me a wave, give me a thumbs up. And as a friendly reminder, I don't charge a dime for the show. I don't make any money doing this. So here's all I ask. There's a cost for you guys to listen to this show. If you get value today, please subscribe right now, share with a friend, or tag a friend below. That way we can all grow together. And as you guys can see, this is a live show. So please post your questions. Sean's here to answer those questions.
So, okay, here's the question. Who wants to be a millionaire? Right? Who wants to be a millionaire? So he's going to make 100 millionaires. That's a bold, aggressive, right? That's an awesome goal. So on here, who wants to be a millionaire, and what do you think it takes to get there? We'll talk about that. That sounds good, huh?
We'll definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do my best to not sound like a super fan right now, right? You know, like be a giddy schoolgirl.
I was kind of giddy walking in, man. I was like, man, what's up? I almost walked in the CBD place next door, you know.
Calm the nerves.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, calm nerves a little bit, right?
Yeah, so for you guys that don't know, there's a CBD oil place right next door.
Just in case, right?
Just in case. So we always start the question or the interview with the first and simple question is, what got you into real estate?
What got me in absolute 1,000% massive, ridiculous frustration with my life, right? So I was initially introduced to real estate in the Gulf War. I bought Robert Allen's book, No Money Down Real Estate. And I was 21 years old, and we invaded, at the time, we invaded Iraq at the time. And I was 21, I was on ship. And before I went on ship, I wanted to get some reading materials. I was a U.S. Marine from 88 to 1992. So I was deploying over to Iraq, didn't know if we were going to come back. I went to Horton Plaza, downtown San Diego, went to the bookstore and found this book on real estate, No Money Down Real Estate, Robert Allen. Happened to read that on ship, and that's where it kind of got my bug about real estate. That's where I wanted to, I wanted to do something with real estate. So me and a buddy of mine, his name's Scott, we saved up some money. We came back at 21 years old, and we went to Scottsdale, over on Scottsdale Road in Earl, if you know that over there. Mm-hmm. They have all these old apartment complex.
Yeah.
So we didn't know, it was 1992, didn't know at the time that there was a savings and loan crash, right? And the market was decimated, right? Especially in Phoenix. So we go in and we find this guy in an ad. We're circling ads, and we call the guy up, and he was willing to do a wraparound mortgage, right? Which we use today, all the time. We bought his 16-unit apartment complex for a little over $250,000 when I was 21, 22. Mm-hmm. Lived on site. We had an apartment there. We lived on site. Managed the whole thing. We cleaned the swimming pool. We cut the palm trees. We cut the grass. We managed the whole thing. We collected the rents. Did that. So that was my first real estate experience way back when. Then I kind of got out of real estate, and I was pulled into a different direction. That's where I got learned. Actually, it was a multi-level company. I was recruited by my wife. She was so hot, right? So I was just like, real estate, hot girl, real estate, hot girl. So I was like, hot girl, right? So she got me into...
You're in your 20s.
Yeah, I know. So she got me into this multi-level that actually I was in it for years, and we did well. But I learned about self-education. I learned about, because in network marketing and multi-level marketing, you go to a lot of events. So I went to a lot of events, and I learned about personal growth, self-development. The better you are, the better you become. And that just kind of took off from there. I learned that in about I became a trainer for them. So I flew all around the country teaching, how to sell water filters.
I bet that made a wonderful foundation.
Yeah, well,
for the real estate industry.
Yeah, because we're selling water filters in 1996, 1998 when everybody believes the water's fine. Now everybody knows that the water's junk, right? So now it would be a lot bit easier. But anyway, so the bottom line is I got out of that and it was like 1999. I started my own business doing pools and landscape here in Phoenix. So I go to someone's house, I design a pool, design their landscape, and I did that from like 99 to 2003. And then that's where I was ridiculously frustrated. I was just getting by, living month to month, frustrated. I had a new daughter at the time. I wanted more for my life. And I had the education. I knew about real estate, but I just wasn't applying. I was stuck, right? I was stuck. So my wife's like, man, you should get back into real estate. So then I looked at becoming a real estate agent, and it just didn't resonate with me. And I read Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I think it was, and I read that, and it just didn't resonate for me. And then I was driving down the freeway. I was going to a pool and landscape appointment. This guy's talking about how you can flip houses. I thought he was crazy because I didn't know. I thought you had to have cash and credit to make money flipping houses. So he talked about guys making $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 flipping houses.
Absurd numbers.
Yeah, and ridiculous. So I'm a born skeptic, born and raised in New England. So everything is a joke. Right? I was like, "There's no way. What a scam!" Right? And I was like, "This is ridiculous." I turned the channel, continued driving down the freeway, and I was like, "This is absolutely crazy. There's no way that can happen." Now, today I know it was God's intervention, and I was like, he's tapping me on the shoulder, and I turned the channel back, and I continued to listen, and he explained the concept of wholesaling, and it's amazing because I had an epiphany, right? And an epiphany is an amazing thing because I was like, wow, I had no idea. It shined a new light on what could potentially happen, and that epiphany happened for me, and I was like, wow, I can take this concept. You mean I can sign a contract with a seller, I can find a motivated seller, and I can turn around and sign a contract with a buyer, and I can make the money in between? That's amazing. I was like, freak out. That was crazy, right? Holy cow. So I bought the guy's course. I had a $250 Capital One credit card. My wife had a $250 Capital One credit card. I called the guy up. The course was $500. I said, would you take 2 credit cards? He said, yes. I bought the course. It was there were VCRs. I put it in the VCR thing. He had one little tiny manual. And I turned it on, and I was watching it on the TV. And this guy comes out, it's black and white video, and he comes out in these bell bottoms and a hat on from Texas, and it was all recorded in 1992, right? So it's 2003, it's all recorded in 1992, and I was like, I knew it was a scam. This is ridiculous. This guy's sending me the stuff from 1992. It probably doesn't even work.
That's what they were selling on the radio?
That's what they were selling on the radio. So the guy got on the radio, sold, he must have had a garage full of them, sold them all, and then I never heard from the guy again, right? So... And me, right, I buy it hook, line, and sinker. So I go through, I started listening. I was like, I don't know. So he said, go get a list of pre-foreclosures. So I had to find that. They didn't have all the websites and services they do now. They didn't even have Zillow. I didn't even think they had Redfin. I don't think they had Facebook, right? They didn't have cell phones, right? I don't know. Anyway, so the bottom line is I bought this list, and I went and started knocking on pre-foreclosure doors. And I started knocking. I finally found a guy that wanted to sell his house, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even have a contract. I went to Staples to go get a contract, and I didn't know how to negotiate. I remember going in this guy's house. He stood me up 2 or 3 or 4 times before I got in there. I finally got in the house, and I didn't know anything about repairs. I didn't know about really negotiation when it came to a house. The guy's like, and I got like, well, what do you want it for? He goes, $86,000. I was like, done, right? I didn't do anything. I just like, done. Okay, signed the contract. And I didn't have any buyers. And luckily, I turned around and sold for like $98,000. I made $11,008. And that was in my first 3 weeks. In May of 2003, I got my first check. And for all the people out there that haven't got a check, if you haven't got a check yet, that's the first mission. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Right? That first check changes everything. It turns doubt into proof of concept. Now it can be done. It's a shut up check. It'll shut up all your friends, family, relatives. They're telling you can't do it. So whatever you are right now, it's going to be a literally obsessive mission to go get that first check. And once you get that first check, that's where momentum happens. That's where you're like, now I know I can do it. Now you can just rinse and repeat, and that's where scale comes in.
Well, so that is that box, right? Like you mentioned, like you've checked that box. Okay, this is real. This is not a scam. I can do this.
Right.
And you have money to make more deals happen.
Correct.
So that's awesome. So that was the first deal.
Yeah.
What were your struggles after that?
Well, actually, that's a great question. So I got my first deal, and my second deal, I found this dilapidated house that I put under contract for like $30-something thousand. Like maybe it was like 25. It's pretty cheap. And the guy had me drop off $1,000 earnest money to his house. Right, big mistake, and made it out to him. He'd made me basically cross out or get rid of all my cancellation clauses, my out clauses in the contract. So I had all my out clauses gone because he negotiated with me using a bogey, right? So he basically said, hey, listen, I've got 4 of the guys that want this thing. I got one guy that's gonna, he's just gonna give me the earnest money and he's gonna take it out. So if you want the deal, if you can do it for $500 more and you can match that, it's your deal. And see, I fell for the bogey instead of pushing back, telling him what I wanted. So I was like, okay, right? I fell for the bogey. And I got the property under contract, took all my out clauses in, and then I couldn't find a buyer. Yeah. Right, so now I'm struggling, and I'm going bananas finding buyers. I didn't have a buyer's list, didn't have any place to look online, right? So I'm calling 8 real estate agents. I'm calling other people, getting referrals, talking to title companies, anything to find a buyer. Finally, I found this father and son team that came in and looked at it and basically gave me $2,000 more than my contract price. And by the skin of my teeth, a couple days before closing, I was able to get out of that deal, made $2,000.
Yeah,
and that was my second deal. It came in with a couple weeks after my first deal. My third deal after that took like 2 or 3 months after that because people ask me, what's the key to success, right? What's the key to success? The key to success, in my opinion, because people go, it's almost like if you ever been to the gym, right? If you get to a certain weight and you freak out, right? You're going, holy cow, I've got to do something. Yeah. My stomach is hanging over my belt. I got to do something, right? So what you do is you go to the gym, you wake up early, you go to the gym, you work out hard, and then you get to a certain point where you feel comfortable. And now you start eating the cookies again, you can start eating the ice cream again, you start eating the pizza again, you start, drinking milk or doing whatever you're doing, eating sugar.
You're describing my 2019.
Yeah. And then what happens is you get comfortable and then you stop doing what it took to get you there, and then you go right back down, and then you're in the same, and you have this, and a lot of people in the business go through this type of roller coaster with their income in their business, with their life and everything. And the secret is having the discipline to continue doing those actionable items all the way past that line where you're comfortable and continue doing it, and that's where you get stratospheric success, right? Yeah. And you keep doing those things. So what I've learned, over the 15 years is when I don't market, when I don't generate leads, when I don't make offers, when I don't make written offers, when I don't do that and I kind of back off that, then I go back, income goes down. So if I look at a correlation between those actionable KPIs, those items, and look at the result of the revenue, there's a absolute 100% correlation between those two. So and you've seen, you've had a lot of incredible people sitting in this chair, and every one of them, the reason why they're successful is because they've matched that correlation. And whether it be talking to sellers, making appointments, talking to sellers, making written offers, and getting contracts, everyone does it in a certain way. Whether
Right.
what we just talked about, being in someone's house, belly to belly, doing it over the phone, whatever the case may be, they're doing the same thing. But the secret is doing it in a consistent basis and keeping your team accountable for those steps every single week. And that's how it just progressively scales. Now, I'm telling you, I'm not perfect. I know you're not perfect, but over the years, it's gone like this because I get in the way.
Right. Well, I think that's a really good point, and I think one of the greatest challenges, I think someone mentioned it last week, was as a solopreneur, right? You're running a business on your own. When you're out getting contracts, you can't prospect. If you're putting out fires, everything else is getting left aside. So what will you say to someone that's having that struggle right now?
Well, it's almost prioritizing, because whatever you prioritize, you make time for. Whenever you make time for, you'll do, right? So what happens is you have to have that priority. If you knew that the priority was, I have to deploy marketing every single week and I have to do lead generation, that's part of it every single week. Even as a solopreneur, well, guess what? Now, I don't care if it's 10 o'clock in the morning, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, that's part of your have to, must to, it's a commitment to, and then you'll do it. The problem is we go out and we get 80 grand deals, right? And now he goes, and then it's like, 1 o'clock in the morning, like, I'm tired, I've been all day talking to sellers, I want to go to bed, but I got to pull this list. I've got to, make sure it's the right one. I've got to send it over to the marketing company. I got to make sure, I got to pull a number on CallRail, make sure it's tracked. I got to pick out a marketing piece. I got to get it out so it goes out on Friday, right? But it's 1 o'clock in the morning and they have a decision to make, right? Now, when you're hungry, right, and you're hungry, then you're going to stay up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're not going to go to bed until it gets done.
Right.
But then when you're comfortable and you got a couple deals in the bank, you got money in the bank, there you're going, maybe I'll just, I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, you get a phone call in the morning, you got a title company you have to run down to, a buyer you have to deal with, a seller they have to pull across the line, a couple other meetings, the next thing you know, it doesn't get done, and then it doesn't get done the next night.
I'll get to it tomorrow.
I'll get to it tomorrow. But those decision points, and it's the little things of just saying, hey, I'm going to deploy marketing every single week. So what I do is I know I'm not good at it, right? I know myself, and I know that, for certain things, if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to go, forget it, right? Because I'm human, right? So what I'll do is now I hire for it.
Right.
So I'll say, listen, I need this task done every single week, and then I'll hire someone for $12-15 an hour, and I'm going to hold them accountable, and they're going to go do it, right? And now I know it's done, and if it doesn't get done, guess what? You're fired, or we're going to correct. We're going to try to figure out and get it done. So I'll pull myself out of the way and hire for the disciplines, and then I can only focus what I'm great at, right? And focus on the things my unique ability, where now I can hire all the things that were bottlenecks, because I was a bottleneck in the business. And if you can do that, then you can exponentially grow a lot quicker. Because imagine if you had all the things you suck at, right? And having hired out for it.
So I'm completely on the same page with you, right? But I'm sure in your many years of coaching, you've had students that would fight you back on this, like, I can't afford it. So I'm sure you by now have some sort of speech or rant that gets them over the hurdle to make that first hire.
Right. Oh, to make the first hire, they can't afford not to, right? So it's like, actually, I just on the way here, right? There's this guy I'm working with in Atlanta, and I rarely ever take on like personal one-on-one coaching students, but it was a referral from someone I knew, and the guy begged me. He's like, hey, and he said that in that situation, I don't know if I can afford to hire. I don't know if I can do it, and I was like, let me ask you a question, You signed up for a reason. You want to do coaching for a reason, right? So you want to go from point A to point B. And are you comfortable where you're at? Because if you're comfortable in the at, then we're done. We're done, right? Because that's not when you sign. You wanted to go here. You told me you wanted to go here. And if you're comfortable where you're at, then we have nothing else to say. We're done. You can move on. But if you're not comfortable where you're at, then the only way to get to where you want to be is to hire. I don't know any massively successful person that has done their whole entire business alone. So, and I talk about behavioral congruencies, right? A behavioral congruency is try to adopt a behavior or a congruent behavior that you can match. And when you're doing that, you got to look at successful people. I mean, like a Grant Cardone, right? I mean, the guy, he's a hiring machine. He's a firing machine, but he's also a hiring machine. So are we, right?
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that if you want to get here, the component, the recipe, the behavioral congruency, it takes people, right? So, what do you want to do? So stop your whining. Man up, woman up, right? Place an ad in Indeed, put them through the funnel, and give them the Rafael Cortez, and through his testing process, and hire them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, one of the things that helped you build your brand is podcasting, and we talked about this. I thought you were the first guy to podcast in real estate. You corrected me, but talk about that. Like
2 others,
but you made a decision to podcast. What prompted that decision?
Another great. You're very good, man. Very good. This guy's good, huh? Give him a couple thumbs up. Put some hearts on there on Facebook up there, wherever you're on. And so I just would do a bunch of cool stuff to give him some love. All right, great question. So, real estate is a very selfish business, right? Except where, we always try to put the seller's problem in clientele first. We want to solve that problem. But we're doing it on a small scale. Meaning, when you do a deal, it's about, getting the deal, buying the deal, flipping it, or buying, fixing and flipping, or doing whatever. The impact is a small impact. Now, you are making an impact in the seller's life, maybe the neighborhood and stuff like that, but it's on a smaller scale. So it's really about you doing deals and making money, right? So when I read the book, The Go-Giver, which I highly recommend, I'm sure you've heard of it, right? And it talks about the 7...
Brandon gave me a copy.
Yeah, Brandon did, yeah, because I gave it to him a copy, right? So the 7 stratospheric laws of success, one of the stratospheric laws of success is obviously the more people you impact, and have success, create 100 millionaires, great model, right? The more success you're going to have. So if you pour and make that the predominant mission to create 100 millionaires, well, guess what? In turn, you're going to be, a billionaire, right? In turn, you're going to create that amount of success. And it's amazing that there is, I look at properties only if I want to, and I don't sign docs. We just get wires that come into the account. We get big wires, small wires. They're coming in all the time. So, I know when you first get started, you get that first check and you get a big wire. You're like, yeah, it's exciting. But then it comes to a point where you're like, it's expected, right? You just get wires coming in your account, right, from deals you're doing and stuff like that. So the impact you can make in someone's life is it's amazing because it's a ripple effect. It completely changes people's lives. So I read the book and I decided to start a podcast in 2010. There was no podcast. There was Real Estate Guys Radio and Lifestyle Unlimited. Those were the 2 real estate podcasts. But I didn't know anything on how to create a website. I didn't know anything about HTML. I didn't know about WordPress. I didn't know anything about audio recording. It's before I had a Mac, right? So I didn't have all that type of stuff. So I was like, I want to get into it, and I want to make an impact, but I didn't know if anybody's going to listen. I was like, who's going to listen to me talk or whatever? So I literally got a little recording device. And my first 10 episodes, Phoenix, Arizona, I think it was like June of 2010, and I went and I didn't have an office at the time because I was doing a lot of stuff. I was like doing everything myself, like a solopreneur. It wasn't starting to hiring and stuff. I had a couple hires, but not. But so I couldn't do it at my house, couldn't do it at the office because I didn't really have a safe space to do it. So I was in my car. I parked at an AJ's parking lot that's down the street, and I had the AC going because it was hot outside, and I recorded inside my little mic. I'm sitting there recording my first episode, And I went back and listened to it, and I could hear the wind of the AC on the podcast, right? Now, we're in a soundproof room, a cool studio. You got the cameras all set up. You got your guys in there.
It's comfortable.
Right, it's all comfortable and it's nice. But I'm sitting in there, and I got the air, and I went back and go, oh! I said, you got the lights on here. I was so mad because the wind was on it. And it was a great episode. I was like, So I went back, and I said, I got to do it without the wind. So I put the AC down to 1. And it still made a noise. So I said, I got to turn the car off. Right now, we're in Phoenix now. What's the temperature out here? Bloody hot. Yeah, it's hot. So now you sit in a car in the sun, and my car at the time had black interior. So I had in my car, I'm recording the podcast in my car, black interior with 100 and plus degrees out, literally dripping sweat, melting. And that was the first 10 episodes I recorded like that. And I taught myself HTML up from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning. Video editing, I taught myself how audio. I would cut every single out of the recording.
Really?
Every which was, it left like no content left, right? So I cut everything, all the out of the first couple podcasts. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And I did all the figure out RSS feeds, figure out how to post it, figure out Amazon S3. This was before Libsyn, for how to get it up on the site and push it out to the public, hoping or maybe that people would start listening. And then it was weird because about 6 months into it, there was really not good tracking inside Amazon S3, but I finally pulled some tracking on it. I was like, wow, we have 30, 40,000 people that listen to this. This is crazy. Then Joe McCall calls me up, and then this happens. So it's literally, it's just been, doing podcasts, and it's, I think we have over 11 million listeners now in 196 different countries, and it's blown up to where it's turned into the whole thing of live events and education and training and stuff, and it's been pretty cool.
Well, so you talk about impact, but there's 2 people that have been on the show, well, actually probably multiple people on the show that have been impacted by your message, but 2 that worked for you, get Raphael and Brandon. And they're off doing their own things as well.
Cranking,
it's incredible the impact you've made. So there was an event, Max Maxwell's event, We Live in Dallas. It was me, Jamil, Evo, Annie, Jesse, Pace, Bryant, and we were all hanging out. And they were out there to support me because that was the first time I was speaking in front of 1,000 people. It's kind of crazy. So it just came out.
Heard you crushed it.
I did all right. Right? So, but we had other people there in Texas, looking at these Phoenix people, you guys are all the same company. No, we're competitors.
Right.
We're all trying to go
to get that deal. Right. Yeah.
And they're looking at us what? This is just weird. Right. And so I was racking my brain, what is it? And I went back to it Brandon's been somewhat influential in our community, but I was thinking, I think Sean's podcast with the go-giver mentality,
right?
Collaborative, you're out to help each other. Are we competing on the same battlefield? 100%.
Right.
But off the battlefield, we're comparing notes. Hey, what's working for you?
How can we get better? What can we do? Yeah, and I think on the podcast, and what I like about you and what you guys do is in part of the go-giver mentality. Brandon's adopted it. Raphael's adopted it. I mean, Carlos and Sal's adopted it. Rafael Vargas adopted it. There's a lot of names in the industry that has adopted is that, give everything you've got, right? Give it all. And people are afraid because they have a scarcity mentality that I don't want to give my best stuff because then it's going to divert them then they don't want to pay for my stuff or coaching or whatever it might be. But I've got tons of people that have never bought a product, never been to any events or anything like that, and they've left me messages saying, listen, I've been following you for 5 years, and you changed my life, and now we're consistently doing $150,000, $200,000 a month in revenue, and I wouldn't be here because it wasn't for you. Yeah. I'm like, good dude, that's awesome. Thumbs up, it's amazing. So it's great to make an impact, but if you're, I never started the podcast to turn it into revenue. I started the podcast for the sole purpose of giving as much as I possibly could to make an impact. And then it turned into where people are going, I want more. Show me the system, break it all down. How do I get your contract? So I literally had to create a membership site. And I think Brandon was the 34th person that ever signed up, part of Flip to Freedom, and then we did deals together and stuff like that, and it turned out pretty well. But I think if you come from a scarcity mentality, you want to hold your information, right? And that will never get you, because it's you almost have an ulterior motive, you know what I mean, inside. But if you're just free to give everything you got, it will come back to you tenfold.
Right. There's only so far you can go.
Yeah.
Trying to hold it all to yourself.
Yeah. You can't, and it's it's not authentic, I don't think, and it's not real, and it's not it's not genuine, and people will pick up on it.
Absolutely. So, when I was first getting into this wholesale side, I don't know how much you know about my story, but I was a realtor just trying to get listings.
Right.
I was like, well, how do I get listings? Well, I know how to do pay-per-click. Let's check out pay-per-click.
Right.
And when I started, I figured, what's my house worth? What will my house sell for? Let's go after the appraisal keywords.
Right.
And that was nothing.
Right.
So I was like, okay, what's working here? Sell my house, buy my house, sell my house fast.
Yeah.
Sell my house for cash. Like, okay, well, let's go after those keywords.
Right.
And one person kept popping up over and over again. That was you.
Right.
With the old lady.
Yeah.
I think it was like security title, right, in the background.
Yep. Downtown.
But, I was looking back in the day. Can you imagine? This is 2012 when I started pay-per-click. I don't know when you started pay-per-click. When did you start pay-per-click?
We started pay-per-click back in 2006.
2006?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a much longer, really good run. Because when I got in, it was basically you and me. But I was looking at the stats when I started. It was $3.80 a click.
Wow.
And $12.76 per lead registration.
Right.
And they were giving their phone numbers.
Yeah, so we were cleaning up.
It was great.
Yeah.
So those days are kind of gone.
Yeah.
But it was just something that I wanted to share because...
Well, it's interesting because, it's funny, like anything that I've ever done and tried to master, then I teach it. So I use my real estate investing, wholesaling business as almost like an incubator to test stuff, to do stuff, to change stuff. And then if it works great, then I'll take it over and then teach it. So so Google AdWords, I used it, tested it, modified it, loved it, and then it became, I actually taught it, right? And I showed people how to, get websites, but instead of using HTML, use like OnCarrot. Actually, initially, I taught people to code on HTML using a free HTML editor, right?
Yeah.
That sucked. Talk about the support tickets, right? So, but now you got OnCarrot and stuff like that. Yeah. So I literally gave people my campaigns that they could use, and they could use all across the country. One being Scott Oots, right? So he came in. I got him set up on he had 3 fix and flips he had done at the time. They're all losing money on. Came into my office and I said, hey, we got to get you up on AdWords. Then we'll start working with the direct mail and other things. But he launched pretty much my campaign directly, and turned around. Drove him to OnCarrot and did over $1 million his first year just off that. Now he's taken it, modified it, and changed it and made it better, which is great, which is phenomenal, and he's an incredibly intelligent person.
Yeah, he is very sharp.
And awesome guy, great with people. But it's literally it's been so I've done that, modified it, and then turned around and then launched it and trained, taught it. When it came to the 9-step seller conversion sequence, how to read personalities, read handshakes, be inside a house, the objection annihilation method of overcoming objections, the 16 top objections, all that came from teaching my sales team, and then turn around and then now putting it out to the market. The whole thing with the custom covert intuitive presentation, which was an iPad presentation. We took that, worked incredible, brought it out and turned around to the market. When it came to the whole 100K wholesaler, we took Traction, which was by Gino Winkman, great book, one of the best business books I've ever read.
100%.
Took that and built the entire 100K wholesaler blueprint out when it came to the organizational chart, to the meetings, to the scorecards, which pretty much everybody uses in the market now, all the way through, because I took that and then turned around and applied it when it came to RVM, ringless voicemail, right? No one was doing RVM up to a couple of years ago, but I used it in my business for about 6 months, and it was crushing. And I was like, do I just keep this quiet? I was like, I can't do this because it's going to go against my nature, right? Yeah. I can't do it. So I brought it to the market and literally blew up, and it was a new channel of marketing where you can get leads for, a fraction of the cost, and it would be Google AdWords, and it brought your overall blended cost per lead down.
Right.
So there's always things, there's always things, but if you're in it, the business, see, I don't know how someone can teach but then doesn't do the business.
Right.
So that means you have to steal from other people, right? Steal ideas. If you're not actively running a wholesale operation where you're dealing with problems every single day, every single issues, and how to do it, then you're not able to do it, right? You can't
teach relevant information.
You can't teach relevant information. So now you're just pulling from other sources, and it's not really, and also you're not being innovative. You can't innovate, and be able to bring new things to the marketplace that will change lives,
Right.
So.
Oh, that makes a whole lot of sense. So we talk about Phoenix. I don't know if it's because of you that we're the guru capital of the world, but at the end of the day, that's what we are here in Phoenix.
The guru capital, because you're here and you bring them all here, right?
Bring them all here, yeah.
You bring them all here, right?
And have them, do
Everyone's
the tour.
flying in.
So, how would you say your operation today is different than the peers in town?
The peers in town, actually, so there's. I have my model is, it differs. I'll kind of explain my model. So I do fix and flip, and we do bigger end, higher end fix and flip. We got one and another, and we don't do a lot of fix and flip. It's primarily fix and flip where our worst case, see, we look at our fix and flip. I look at my fix and flip model, and we go, okay, if it's the worst case scenario, there's the most likely and there's the best case, right? So it's basically a simple spreadsheet. So I go, most people make a decision off the best case scenario, crossing their fingers, hoping that they're going to go, oh yeah, let's list it for this. It's going to be great. I make a decision on the worst case scenario, and if that worst case scenario is $100,000 profit after paying all expenses and everything like that, then we pull the trigger on it, and then I'll give it to my wife. My wife has her unique ability is going into a place and she can make things look incredible, right? She can make it look great. So I don't. I walk in, I'm like, just doze it, right? So she can make it look great. So yeah. I'll buy it, and she'll turn around, and then she'll make it look great, and she'll do it. So, that's one little thing we do. Fix and flip, and we've been approached by HGTV and doing stuff like that, and. Yeah. And I don't know if we want to go down that path. Maybe we'll. We're still, talking to him. Who knows? But anyway, so the bottom line is then I have my wholesaling operation where I think we were talking earlier, and I've honestly been stuck in the rut up to about. And Brandon honestly has been telling me this. And I'm just being completely transparent with you guys for years. He's like, dude, you gotta. And I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with phone team and all that type of stuff, right? So basically, what happened was I had a traditional wholesaling where we generated leads. Sales guys would generate leads, and we would go belly to belly. And our methodology was get in front of as many sellers as possible, and then we have ways to monetize those particular sellers, right? So they're going to convert anywhere from anywhere from a good sales guys can do anywhere from 20 to 30% conversion rate for a good sales, and through their follow up and for talking to sellers. So what they're going to do is our methodology was getting in front of many as people as possible. You're going to convert the ones to wholesale. The ones you can't convert to wholesale, we're going to have a listing relationship where we can do, because we have a brokerage in the office that we have listing relationship. We can monetize those leads that way. I happen to own a title company just like you do, so we can monetize that way and push them to a title company. So all that was a way to be able to to get in front of people. Well, you're limited to the amount of leads you can generate, the cost per lead, right? And they're limited by how many appointments a person can go on driving around the market. So a sales guy can go to about 18 to 20, and then they get pretty burned out. They're spending a lot of money, per week, a lot of gas. They're running, they're going crazy, they're running and gunning, and that becomes almost too much, right? A person can only sustain to a certain amount. Now we do, and I think we talked earlier about, we do a lot of down payment arbitrage. That's another whole methodology that we do a ton of in our business. I've been doing for years, that we brought out to the market and taught. But down payment arbitrage is one of our core acquisition strategies to get a lot of deals that nobody else is talking to, right? Most people, wholesalers in the market, don't know how to structure them, don't know how to pitch them, and can't get those deals. So our methodology is getting in front of people, getting deals done and turn around selling, and then I'll take excess cash and I buy large apartment complexes, right?
Yeah.
So now I've met with Carlos and Sal. I've been to their operation. I'm sure you have too.
Oh yeah.
Huge
operation.
Yeah, Alex. Great. And and I know Nick Perry, and I know some guys at Steve Ennis out of Canada, and Josh up there, those guys up there, and I see what they're doing with this, over the phone type of stuff, and it's really resonated to me. So in the past 6 months, we've transitioned into a quasi model over the phone and then into other different markets. So, which kind of opened up, because I've been stuck in the mud to where, no, you've got to be in front of people. You got to be able to close it. But even I've been doing this for 15 years, and you always learn. And if you get narrow-minded and stuck in the mud, you can be in a position it can cost you money. And I think I was narrow-minded, stuck in the mud, knowing this is what the model is, and not being open to listening to Brandon until you walk into an operation like Carlos and Sal, which those guys are phenomenal, and you go, wow, I mean, that person closed 9 deals last month strictly over the phone and didn't drive anywhere. That girl right there, she closed 6 deals last month. She didn't have to drive anywhere doing. It just opens up the model where you can be more efficient in other different markets and convert more deals.
Well, and I think that's really key, really important attribute, right? Because as a leader, you've reigned for so long, it's really easy to get comfortable,
right?
Not want to make any changes, right? Like, this is the way it is, this is the way it's always been done, and this is the way we're always going to do it. So you're able to make the transition.
It came to the point to where I was like, this is something, we got to do, we want to do, I should have been doing, and then this is the process doing. But the cool thing is that it's I've been doing it long enough, and I know how to hire, know how to bring on people. I have zero fear when it comes to spending money on marketing. I'll outspend, whatever it takes, right? Because I know
Todd Toback made the comment earlier that you're the first guy to do 10,000 mailers a month or per week.
It was interesting. It was, I'll tell that story too. But I'm not afraid, because I know if you have the system in place, you'll get the return. It's a box, right? I am so familiar with the box that if I put in 50 grand, I know I'm going to get 300 grand out. Or I know I'm going to get $250,000 out in the box. So I'm like, why not put in 500 grand and get 3 million out, right?
Right.
So, but it's just having the efficient operation that can handle the amount of leads to handle $500,000 in ad spend to be able to make it happen. So the way back when, I thought I was hot stuff sending 10,000 mailers a month, right? I thought I was hot stuff. And there was this guy locally here, Ron Davidoff. I don't know if you know who he is.
I know the name.
Ron Davidoff is for me, he's like the godfather of real estate. I mean, he's done a couple thousand deals since 1992, does a ton of, he was the guy that knocking on pre-foreclosure. When I first started, he was the guy that everyone's like, oh man, he's crushing it. So he's since retired, and he bought a bunch of property and stuff and retired and stuff. So anyway, so I was talking to Ron. I called him like once or twice a month, and I was like, bragging, oh yeah, man, we hit 10,000 mailers this month. Phone's ringing off the hook. We're doing deals. We're cranking it. And he goes, yeah, I just dropped 130,000 mailers. I was like, you did? I was like, 100. Yeah, I dropped 130, and I thought I was bragging, right? I did 10,000, man, 130,000 mailers. I said, well, who's taking all the calls? He goes, man, it's just going to my cell phone. So no systems. All calls into him. All the calls were going into him. And I think he did 20, 30 deals that month. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm dropping 100,000. I'm dropping 100. So I turn around. I call the mail house. I wired him, I think, 30 postcards to 33 cents, wired him 33 grand. And next thing you know, 100 postcards hit. Now, this is before Podio. This is before any system, before monthly meetings, before scorecards.
Before CallRail.
Before CallRail, before any of that. So we came into the office. I had one lead manager. I had an acquisition guy. I had a disposition guy. And everything's written on notepads. And everything's blowing up. They're like, whoa, my God, the phone's ringing off the audio. And they're passing notepads over here and passing this over there and this, that, and the other. But we did about, I think it was over like 150,000 in revenue for the month, right?
Wow.
So in a completely antiquated model, zero efficiency with yellow pad newspaper. So from that point, I put the direct correlation between mailers and revenue, or leads and revenue. So, and I think we've been, doing close to 100,000 every single month, since,
Wow.
if not more. So
talking about making this change, right? This transition.
Mm-hmm.
What does your organization look like today?
So we have we just fired some sales guys because they weren't cutting it. So we'll have basically 5. They weren't closing 5 sales guys that are between local acquisitions and then over the phone closers. We've got lead managers, essentially 2 lead managers that basically take inbound calls and then will sort between the take me off your list, and if it's a viable potential lead, then it will transfer to one of our sales guys, right? Then from that, we have a in-house marketing person that does all of our marketing to all the buyers, handles all. It's that person that I've hired that basically will handle all that marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get it off the plate. So every single week we get our Monday morning meetings, and we'll batch out the marketing for essentially like 2 months, and then she'll deploy all the marketing, which is good, so we don't have to deal with that. Then we have a disposition person that handles all of our disposition. They make sure the properties get sold. And then I have a CFO, some that will manage all the books, QuickBooks, and all the money and stuff like that. So it's that's the primary operation that will, and I bet someone that does social media and stuff like that post on all the social media sites.
Well, I see you're the one that's doing you're pushing the IG Live.
Yeah, I'll be pushing the IG Live, but they'll post properties up on Facebook and stuff like that, and push them out and stuff. But
so, the questions we're getting in: what marketing technique is working best for you?
Marketing technique? Okay, this is a great question. Who asked that question? What's his name?
We had a couple people ask it. So.
Really?
We got a long list of questions we got to get through.
Okay. So great question. Whoever asked that. So historically, I looked at marketing channels as individual. Right? Individual. So marketing channel being direct mail, marketing channel being Google AdWords, marketing channel being, say, Facebook or something like that, as individual type of channels that we track and measure. Over the past almost year and a half now, we've adopted omni-channel marketing, right? And omni-channel marketing is where you're everywhere. Now, you have been in town. You're in Phoenix, right? Mm-hmm. And you've heard Lerner and Rowe is the way to go.
Oh, yeah.
You heard those guys, right?
Yeah, everyone knows the phone number.
Right, everyone knows the phone number. But where do you see them? You hear them on the radio. Mm-hmm. They're on the side of a bus. They're on the
billboards.
Mm-hmm. They're on TV. They're everywhere, right? That's called omni-channel. Now, omni-channel marketing, you have a 37% higher rate when it comes to conversion, when it comes to lead generation, and your conversions go up, I think it's like 8 times conversion. So if a seller hears from you from multiple different channels, not only does the response go up 37%, but your closing ratio goes up 8 times.
Of course.
Right? So this omni-channel marketing, it's all built around the omni-channel marketing process, which then it starts for someone that's brand new, it starts with distress, right? So now we have distress list. We got pre-foreclosures, we got inherited properties, we got probate properties, we got property tax default properties, we've got vacant properties with liens, right? So those are distress. So our basically our marketing manager will pull all the distress lists, and we market those in a omni-channel fashion where they get direct mail every week to the distressed. We're going to hit them with ringless voicemail. We're going to skip trace them. We're going to cold call them. We're going to text them. We're going to hit them with ringless voicemail, and we're going to hit them with email. Right. Mm-hmm. So those people, and now and people ask about frequency, right? With the distress list, how many times should I hit that list? I get that question all the time. And I equate it to almost like if anyone's ever tried to get tracked down by a creditor, right? Have you ever? I mean, anytime. I know I have in the past, right?
Yeah.
So
they don't like it when you don't make your payments,
right? Yeah. So, but do they call once a month?
No.
Right. Yeah. Do they call once a week? No. They call every single day, 5 times a day. So we take on the creditor mentality marketing strategy with these distressed sellers, and we're going to bug the crap out of them, right? Until they either A, don't ever talk to me again, or B, they're going to sell us our house, right? So we're going to create that. So frequency is all the time, right? It's like you're like going to inundate these people with your message coming. You're going to be Lerner Monroe, way to go, right? All over the place on these guys, and you're going to turn around and you are going to surround those, right? So those are the distressed, because here's the thing: if you don't hit them with mail every single week and cold calling every single day and texting every single day and marketing, you're just inundated with emailing them, texting, cold calling, RVMing all the time. I mean, every day, right? Then what's going to happen is they're never going to hear your message. Or we're going to be in a market and you're going to market. Let's say you and I are competing against marketing. Right. You hit them once a month because you want to be nice.
Yeah.
Right? And I approach it with I'm going to just bug the living crap out of you, right? What's going to happen is, who are they going to sell to?
The guy
right?
in front of them.
They're going to sell to me that I'm in front of them, because the attention span in this world is insane. So to answer your question, it's using all these channels to surround that seller with your message constantly for distressed only. Now you move into non-distress. Now you have absentee owner, right? We used to do absentee owner. And we look at the older property. So we have, which is unique, which is different from a lot of people across the country, we are also the hub for iBuyers.
Yes, we are.
Right? So all the iBuyers are coming in and they're buying thousands of houses, right? And I don't want to name them all, but we know them all, right? All the iBuyers coming in, and they all start in Phoenix, they all start here, and we have to compete against them, right? So how do you compete against the iBuyers? Well, they're building their portfolios. They like the newer houses. And in Phoenix, you get the stucco with the tile roofs and stuff like that, where we target 1980 and below, houses with deferred maintenance, 10-year ownership on the property, and we target in select zip codes, meaning, we call it the perfect property avatar. So we pick all the deals we've done over $20,000 and are distressed, and we turn around and take that 1980 and below, that are 10-year ownership, and we lay that into the non-owner occupant and owner occupant universe, and we'll pull out of there those zip codes that we can target in, and we do the exact same omni-channel marketing to that list, right? But we don't bug the living crap out of them. What we do is we'll hit them once a month with our message versus hitting them every single day.
Right. So
that's a very long answer to.
But I think that's a great answer.
Short
right?
question,
it's
right?
Being in front of them when they hear your message from multiple different avenues. This guy has to be legit. He's everywhere.
Yeah. He's everywhere, and we're in front of them. And because most people, they're distressed, procrastinate, right? So they're going to procrastinate everything, right? And they're going to procrastinate their house. They're going to wake up in the morning and they're going to put on their list and they're going to get to that point where they have to sell. I have to do it now. So when they do that, you want to be that call. They want to get your text that day. They want to get your phone call that day. They want to get your message that day when they eventually put that on the list. And you can't. You might do it once a month. Yeah. And you're just going to hope and pray that day is the day they wake up and want to sell.
So everyone goes through denial in the beginning, and you don't know when exactly, because every person's different when reality sets in. Yep. And you just want to be that guy.
Well, it's interesting, and I tell my sales guys this, because how do you reiterate follow-up? And I think follow-up is one of the most critical things in your business. And I've always related it to the seller decision timeline, right? I'm saying maybe you've heard people talk about, right? The seller decision timeline, which I've been talking about for years. But the seller decision timeline is when someone is going to, when you're going to go buy a car, right? And you're thinking about buying a car. What do? Well, first off, you have the idea, I'm going to buy a car. Then you're going to go look online for different cars. Then you're going to look at pricing. Then you're going to look at, which one do you like? Then you're going to do the virtual tour inside. Then you're going to talk to some friends. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, they show up all on the road, and you kind of look at them. Then you're going to go to a dealership. You might go in and test drive, but you're going to go to 3 or 4 dealerships. You're going to look at a couple different 2, 3 different cars, and you're going to narrow it down. And then you're going to pull the trigger, right? What happens is most real estate wholesalers are looking for the guy that wants to sell a house and pulling the trigger right there, right? And the person that's already been through that timeline and they're ready to pull the trigger. Well, that's only maybe anywhere from 10 to maybe 15%, right, of the leads that actually, even less than that come in, they're ready to pull the trigger. Where you'll go in and they're ready to pull the trigger and you get it signed right there. So you ask them on the phone, you say, listen, how soon would you like to sell? And they go, oh, yeah, as soon as possible, we can sell. That means they've been through the process, bam, they're going to pull the trigger and sell.
Right.
So what happens to all those leads that come in, and a seller says they want retail? So initially they they have the idea, they look on Zillow, their price, they look on Redfin, they talk to a realtor, and realtor says you can get $350, but your offer is $175, right? And what happens is now you meet with them and they want $350, right? Because the realtor friend in Zillow says they should get $350. And you can't pay $350 for the process, and then you just forget them. 99% of everybody is going to forget them. So what happens is what we do is we create basically this another omni-channel where we're in front of the seller knowing they called. Now, here's funny. I've been in a room of 500 or 600 people, and I asked the question, said, how many people in this room, you got a postcard or you got a text from someone saying they want to buy your house? How many people actually answered that? Or maybe you got a postcard or something else for other service and answered it. And there's maybe 1 or 2 out of 500 or 600 people in the room, right? So it's very few and far between. So someone actually picks up the phone and they call you is a rarity.
Yeah.
Right? So it was rare. They're going to they want to sell. So now because they said no, or they said they wanted retail, and now there is no follow-up sequence behind that, which a follow-up sequence entails all the above, ringless voice. It becomes that omni-channel. You send them postcards, you send them, ringless voicemail. Now you don't harass them like you do on the distress, and you can send them maybe once or twice a month, but you're gonna wanna be in front of those people because now you're building a relationship with them. Now you're turning around, you're gonna be in front of them because they will make a decision. We have sellers that are committed and stuck on this number, and then over the seller decision timeline, over 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, now guess what? They come down to a reasonable number, and because we've kept in contact with them the entire time with multi-channel, omni-channel marketing, well, guess what? Now we're going to go out and get that deal, and no one else has talked to them, and no one else can compete. Right? Because because now we've built a relationship with them, we've been in front of them, we've asked them how they doing, we checked on them. There's this one house in Arcadia, ridiculous deal, right? I went, place was trashed, talked to this lady, same type of thing. I literally text her, and every single Friday, I was just on my list. I would text, how's it going? What are you up to? She would send me her horses, and she would send me this, and we go back and forth. I'd send a picture of my kids, and we do this. And I built a relationship with her, right? Now, she was getting inundated by you and everybody else in the marketplace, right? And but guess what? I built a relationship with her over time. She turned around, and I got that house, and that was a huge smoking deal. The house needed a ton of work, but we turned around, flipped it, and made a huge profit on it. And there's no way I would have got that deal if I would have met her the first time. She said she wanted close to retail. There's no way we're going to do it. And because if I would have never followed up, we'd never got that deal. So we embed that into our sales guys, the process of, yes, you're going to get new leads, but also you have to really work those leads in a way to get them to convert.
Absolutely. So there was a question for Charlie Harrison. If you had to start over today as a brand new wholesaler, what would you do?
Brand new wholesaler. Well, first off, I would get yourself obsessed. Obsessed, right? Obsessed, right? So how do you get obsessed, right? When you're in an obsessed state, then nothing else. Then you're 1,000. Now, I'm not saying you have to disregard your family and be whatever. I'm saying when you commit to a certain time, you're obsessed to make it happen. So how I get obsessed about being in it to win it, especially for 15 years, right? Of creating that consistency, is being absolute 1,000% crystal clear on exactly what you want. Write it down, right? And then read it every morning, read it every single night, and then I calendar. When I calendar, my priorities are God, my family, and my business, right? So God goes in my calendar first, then my family goes in my calendar, and then business goes all around it. And I literally, from 5:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, my calendar is scheduled every 15 minutes on the 15 minutes all day, right? So I have zero idle time through the entire day, and I'm just going all day, right? Now, you get obsessed because you want something so bad, and you can see it, and you can feel it, and you can visualize it, and you're brand new, right? And what would you, I didn't have that when I got started. I was scattered. I was all over the place trying to do 10 different things. I would get hyper-focused, and if you're brand new, you haven't got a check yet, that's your first goal. If you've already got your first check, you want to make it consistent, you want to do at least 3 to 5 deals a month. Once you get 3 to 5 deals a month, then you want to start hiring a team of people, and then you want to blow it up, right? Reinvesting 25% back in the business. So now you get massively obsessed. Then once you get massively obsessed, you write everything down and you get hyper focused. And then once you get hyper focused, then you create those daily actions and you commit to doing it every single day. So those daily actions that we talked about, which most people get comfortable, they get some big checks. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go hang out. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to whatever. They take their foot off the pedal, and then what happens is their income goes back down. They go in panic mode. They go back at it again. So if you can look in your business every single week and report, how many leads did you get for the week? How many appointments did you make? How many offers did you make? And how many contracts did you get? And that number continues to expand each week or continues to grow, and you get better at the conversion. So everything becomes, how can I get a lower cost per lead? How can I get more appointments? How can I convert those leads into contracts? And you get better at that, then you can't help but grow. And now you have a trackable, consistent model, and then you have your team. They are all tracking on that certain model, then you blow up.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think obsession is key. There's Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill says that if you are obsessed with your business as you are with getting laid,
yeah,
how successful would your business be?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's that's 100% true.
So you mentioned earlier down payment arbitrage. So Eric Martinez wants to know, how are you determining price when doing down payment arbitrage?
How do you determine price?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it's the exact same thing on a wholesale deal, but what happens with down payment arbitrage is you the key component is having a distressed seller, right? Mm-hmm. Whether they have a I'll give an example. We recently did a deal where the house was worth about $330. And it was listed on the market, it couldn't sell. So now it's just sitting there. Seller wanted to sell, but they're stuck, right? If they sold it, they tried to sell it at $330, they couldn't do it. And if they did sell it at $330, but with commissions, closing costs, and fees, and if they got a little bit lower offer, they're gonna have to come out of pocket, which they didn't want to do. So there is underlying motivation there. The house is a great house. I think it was in Ahwatukee, right? Beautiful house, or in Gilbert actually. And then what happened, they had a $307,000 loan, but there's motivation, right? So we gave them $500. We knew the property was $330 because it was listed for that, and Zillow said it was $330. Redfin said it was $330. REI Automator said it was $330. It was all, we knew it was $330. That was the value of the property. But that's a little bit more not as relevant as the structure. So people ask me all the time, they go, okay, listen, I got a property, but it doesn't sell, right? I can't sell. It either doesn't sell because of price or it doesn't sell because of terms. But if you could take a property that maybe is a higher price and it's not selling, and you can modify terms of that property, now you have a sellable property. Mm-hmm. We've had properties that literally no one would touch or buy and modified the terms on it. Now the property flies off the shelf. So this particular property, if we put it out to the market, we got it locked up for say $307 theoretically, and we're going to turn around and sell for $317 when it's worth $330. Our phone would not ring off the hook.
You sound like a new wholesaler.
Right. We're like, oh, I got the smoking deal. We got $10,000 of equity. Oh my gosh, let's buy. And you're sitting there waiting and crickets, right?
Right.
But now we're going to modify the terms. Price is still there, right? So now we got $307. We give the seller $500 cash. Mm-hmm. Bought the house for $500. Left the $307 in place. I think we left in place for 4 years, and now we have a sellable deal. $500. So in the $307. So now we're in it for $307,000, and then we turned around and we put it out to market for $29,500 down, or $29,000 down, and we made $28,500 on a deal. $500 went to the seller, right? And that was a $28,000 deal on a deal that was retail, No one would touch. And we do a ton of deals like that. And there's so many different ways to structure it with sellers. The seller was ecstatic. They loved it. A guy came in and he was, I don't know if he lived there or he was just going to use it as an Airbnb or whatever he was. It's a nice house. And he was able to, and everybody won in the situation. We put it out to the market on a deal that was literally sold at retail, right? Retail, above retail. And that our phone melted off the hook with that property, right? On a recent deal we just closed.
So that was, do you have a specific buyers list for those?
Nope.
Or how are you finding those?
Well, remember,
you just sent it to everybody.
Yeah, there's 3 buyers, right? There's 3 buyers that all of us wholesalers have. We have fix and flip, we get buy and hold, and we get retail buyers. Now, if you get a property that's distressed, like we're closing on a property today, right? And it's like trashed, South Phoenix, a mess. I've got one buyer. Buy and hold buyer's not going to touch it. Retail buyer's not going to. I got one buyer. I got a fix and flip buyer. So I have to have a fix and flip buyer. Their biggest motivation is equity. The more equity they have, the more they're going to jump on the deal. So this deal has a lot of equity in it, so they're going to jump on it, right? So a buy and hold investor, they're going to do buy and hold. They want to have a nicer, cleaner property. They're going to want to have some equity in the property, but now they're going to have to get financing. They're going to have to refinance it and do all that type of buy it with hard money, do that. And then the third buyer is a retail buyer. What's great about down payment arbitrage is it literally can hit all 3. It hits all 3. Now, the fix and flip buyer is buying this property because his accountant over here is going, listen, you got ordinary income, dude. You got to turn around. You need to offset your income by buying real estate so you can have depreciation so you can offset that ordinary income. So your fix and flip buyer is a potential buyer. We get a lot of fix and flip buyers that easily, like, listen, I'll put $29,000. I'll turn around. I'll have the $28,000, whatever. I'll put this property into it, and I'll get the deal. And they'll hang on to it and they'll be fine, and they're going to use it strictly they're going to rent it out and get depreciation. The buy and hold buyer loves it, right? Because they don't have to go get a loan.
Right.
And then you got the retail buyer that will come in and they want to buy it retail, right? And they're going to potentially live there in the property. So you hit all 3 buyers. So essentially, if you have your buyers list, and I've taught for years, Jalen White, you know Jalen White, right?
Yeah.
Great guy, awesome guy. He came in my office the first time when he, 18-year-old kid, he used this one little thing he that we taught out at our VIP at our Extreme Freedom event. This one little thing, and we talked about how to buy the realtor list and slowly import it into that. That one thing changed his entire business, right? He went out and made $250,000 his first year, just by that one thing. So on that realtor list that we taught how to buy, you can turn around. You got retail buyers on the list. You have you're on the list. Realtors are on the list,
yes.
Right? So realtors have buyers. Realtors have retail buyers. So that is the easiest property to sell because you encompass all 3 buyers, and your phone literally melts even if the thing's retail.
So I'm just going to do a quick change topic. How was that transition going from belly to belly and in Phoenix only to go into other markets? What were the biggest challenges in expanding for you?
First off, getting our team that is down this path to go down this path, right? And do it. And it's a quasi model, meaning everything local. We'll talk to a seller and we'll get them to a certain point of where they are for motivation, trying to find out their lowest of the low offer price they're going to have. We don't do soft pass, but if we believe that our max allowable offer and their lowest cash offer, if it's close within 20 or 30,000, we know we can negotiate that down to a certain price. And we're going to set the appointment, and our closing ratio on those appointments are about 50 to 60%. So it's a quasi model of talking to the sellers locally on the phone, getting them to a certain point, determining where they're at, and having them tell us the lowest of the low number after we build rapport, after we find out about repairs, after we find out the big why, and trying to solve that problem. Now, a lot of people, in what we have found as a negotiating technique, which a lot of people, I don't know if they do or not, but I know we do, we use the post-possession a lot in our negotiation, right? And typically in the real estate world, brokers hate post-possessions. They want to close and they want to be done.
Oh, yeah.
Am I right? So what happens to post-possession, if a seller needs time to move out and they say they need cash, but they need time to move out, then we're able to give them that time to close. Now, what it does for us in the business, and there's this whole thing of the time value of money, right? And a whole thing of the velocity of money, that formula. We want to close as fast as humanly possible, but the seller, needs 2 weeks to move out. So what we'll do is initiate a post-possession. We'll disclose that to the buyer coming in. We'll close immediately. We'll get paid. We'll hold money back in escrow and then give that seller post-possession. Everybody's happy in the situation, and we do a lot of those. So we solve that problem with those sellers. So part of that is talking to these sellers over the phone and figuring out what their big problem is, solving that problem. And if we're able to solve that problem, then we'll set the appointment on a local basis. In other markets, then we'll turn around and we'll just DocuSign get over the phone.
Gotcha. So Manuel Cajigas, I'm probably butchering his name, wants to know, are you doing any kind of training on down payment arbitrage deals?
Yes, I have an entire course, Down Payment Arbitrage, and I essentially go, like, when a seller wants retail, what do you do, right? Well, I can do a deal if seller wants retail. It's funny because it's interesting. So I had, sales guys, what do they always complain about?
The leads.
The leads, right? So I hear that all the time. Well, the leads, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I want these leads, blah, blah, blah. Don't come to me with leads, right? I'm that last guy you want to talk to about the leads. So I said, fine. Leads suck. I said, you guys get nothing, right? You guys generate your own leads. I'm going to get the next 10 leads. Right? I'm going to get them. Just random. I'm going to get the next 10 ones, and I'm going to get the next 10 appointments. So I got 10 appointments. I booked 10 appointments. I went on 10 appointments, and I got 8 contracts.
Wow.
And I came back with 8 contracts, and I laid them all out on the table. I'm like, the leads suck, or do you suck? Right? So it's interesting that happens that way, right? And it's because a lot of down payment arbitrage. So if someone says they want retail and they want, I can make that happen with down payment arbitrage. I love the ones where it's pre-foreclosure, right? The house is worth $200 and they owe $120, and I can give them $3,000. They move out, I can reinstate the loan that they have, and I can still sell it for retail. And not only will I keep the existing loan in place, I'll create a secondary note on the property and then turn around and sell it retail. Now I have all these notes laying out there that I get calls and saying, hey, we got this note on here, and I'll put a deferred interest rate on it of, like, say 8% on it, deferred interest. And I'll get a call and say, hey, listen, we got a payoff for this thing. I was, what the heck is this? Okay, I'll know what I did 2 years ago. It's an $80,000 loan. Okay, boom, bam, and next thing you know, we get a $80,000 wire from a note that I created on a deal that we sold retail, and we got a down payment, and we got the whole. And it's amazing.
That's incredible. All right, so I'm gonna wind it down here. So you've got an event coming up.
Yes, it's Extreme Freedom. This is our 7th. I think almost 7th or 8th time doing it.
Yeah. It's
literally the premier wholesaling event, in my opinion, except yours, right? It's premier. I've been doing it for years. But what it does, we got some incredible speakers coming, but what it does, it's the methodology or the business model of something that's starting out brand new, right? And we take them through the 4 phases of freedom, and then we'll turn around and show them how to build it from getting your first check to getting 1 year's worth of income, quitting your job, going full-time, and then scaling it to a multi-million-dollar business. Well, each phase, there's different things that you do and things that you can focus on that can scale you up to where you want to be. So when someone comes there for the first time, if they don't know anything about it, what happens, they'll learn these 4 phases, and then they can leave and understand the entire business model. It's a way to take literally all the training I've done between converting deals and down payment arbitrage and compress everything into a weekend where you can leave and go, holy cow, you're brand new or wherever you are in the middle, and you might be doing 2 or 3 deals a month and you want to get to 10 to 15 deals a month, we'll show you that methodology and what to build from the organizational chart to the meetings to the team to the scaling to reinvesting back in a large multifamily, doing syndications. And then also too, there's the other side of the coin, right? There's technical of the how to do, and then there's the other side of the coin, which I call the triangle effect. And the triangle effect is you've got 2 people in the same market, right? There's a lot of people here in Phoenix, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you got 2 people in the same market. They're sending the same postcards to the same list, and one person gets all the deals and the other person gets none. And the other person's complaining, going, "Well, I'm trying to do it. I'm sending the postcards. I'm spending the money." Huh?
That sounds like how they would sound.
Yeah, so I'm trying to. I just don't understand. I don't know what's going on. And you look at it, and they are sending the postcards, and the calls are coming in, and but they're not getting the deals.
Right.
There is something else. That triangle effect is the something else, right? It's the something else. It's because now it's you as a person on what you attract, what you put out there. And I've seen 2 people, same market, same thing. One guy's crushing it, one guy's not getting the deals because this person is repelling business, right? By their own thoughts and what they think about and their rituals that they do in their life. And the other person is on point in their inflow, and they attract a ton of business. So it's amazing when you're in flow, amazing things happen. And we can be in the same market together, and guess what? We've never crossed a deal together, right? Most of the people that I've ever, Carlos and Sal and and Raphael and Brandon and all that, we never cross paths, right? Have we ever run into a deal together?
Not that
but you're doing a ton, we're doing a ton, but we never run into a deal. And we continue getting deal after deal after deal that comes in. And it's crazy, and I believe wholeheartedly that if you're a person right now that you've been doing this and you've been putting forth the energy, you've been putting forth the effort, and you're still going, what am I missing, right? I'm doing everything right. What am I missing? It's the triangle effect. And we're going to talk about what that is, how that affects your business. In my opinion, that is the most important thing in your business, because anybody can do the technical, right? But it's who you bring as a person to that technical in that market, talking to the seller. And just like for the thing is, if you walk into an appointment with a seller, just like a dog can smell fear, right? That a dog can smell fear inside somebody. A seller can smell neediness. A seller can smell that fear.
Desperation is a strong
that
smell.
Desperation. It comes in of how you are. And if you come from that scarcity, desperate mentality, and that's permeating through you, right? Of fear of coming out, that penetrates through in the marketplace, and it's going to affect your results.
Yeah.
So you want to go out and you want to come and do this, and you want to blow up. Guess what? We're going to show you how to eliminate that putrid smell of despair and turn around and learn how you can put that attraction model where people are attracted to your energy, what you put out there, how you talk, and they're going to want to do business with you and only you.
That's awesome. So I'm going to let you, that was a really powerful message,
Yep.
but I'm going to put on the onus on you to come up with one more last thought. So before we get there, a few quick announcements. Guys, next week is our workshop. It's on the 20th and 21st. If you guys are still interested, we're only selecting a handful of people. To see if you qualify, go to disruptors.com. And I will be speaking in Houston, October 4th through 6th for Wholesaling Live. Go to wholesalinglive.com and put in RED for 25% off. I'll be in Biloxi, Mississippi with Adam and Brent for Real Estate Roundup Live. If you want to go to that, it's bit.ly/RER live. And then I'll be finishing the year in New Orleans with Chris Rude, December 6th through 8th. If you guys want to check that out, go to bit.ly/2019skill, 2019skill. And next week, we've got Charles Nguyen coming in from Houston, Texas to talk about his systems. So,
Cool.
All
right, so if you want to check out Extreme Freedom, it's Extreme Freedom Live, extremefreedomlive.com. You can check out this event schedule. It's in the Renaissance here, right by the Super Bowl, where the Super Bowl was played there. Also, we did a coupon code. It's TRANG30. TRANG30. You can get 30% off on tickets if you are interested in going. It's going to be an awesome event. If you're in Phoenix, it's a must go. You got to go.
I've been there. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
great for networking.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you'll meet a ton of people. I mean, Carlos is going to be there. Max Waxwell's going to be there. Scott Oots is going to be there. You'll probably be there. I know Brandon will be there. Raphael's going to be there. So we've got a lot of great. Dean Graziosi is going to be there. Yeah. He's speaking. So there's a lot of great people who's going to be there. It's awesome.
Awesome. Last thoughts. If I go back, and I always think every time I go live on Instagram, I always go back. Is the biggest thing I can tell you is, if you're going back and you're in a position right now where you might be struggling or trying to get your first deal or trying to figure it out, because we have Instagram and Facebook in so many different areas, when you learn something, share it, learn it, share it with somebody else, because there's power in giving, right? There's absolutely power in giving, and you've experienced now, haven't you? 100%.
Doing this podcast, what has come to you? Your brokerage has doubled. Your wholesale business has went through the roof, right?
Yep.
So there is a power in giving. And what happens is most people focus on themselves and they go, listen, I'm trying to solve this financial problem, whatever it is. And if you want to get that out of the way, don't stop focusing on yourself and start focusing on how you can help somebody else. Because once you help someone solve their problem, your problem will be solved. But the problem is they can't get themselves out of the way. They're very focused on themselves and what they can do for me and how could I do this and what's happening for me. So if you try to be absolutely selfless and you focus 1,000% on giving, giving information, giving content, giving your best stuff, putting it out on Instagram, putting it out on Facebook, telling people, sharing it in meetup groups and stuff like that, in your Go-Givers meetings that you guys do with with Brandon and stuff. So in your giving of yourself 100%, you'll never have to worry about yourself. You'll never have to worry about your finance. You'll never have to worry about any of that. So divert the focus on helping other people and giving to them and pouring into other people, and you'll never have. So I've never really ever had to worry about, as soon as I started understanding that concept back in 2010, and it's not all been just, whatever, but the bottom line is, it's once I started doing that, literally, the pressure on myself is just exponentially has grown, and crazy opportunities and crazy things come up that are completely unexplainable by focusing on giving to other people. And it's an amazing thing. And you don't have to wait till you're 40. You don't have to wait till you're already completely successful. You could be just trying to get your first deal, and you can document and tell what you've learned in the process. And that sharing of that, and that is going to inspire and motivate someone else that they want to get started, and you'll make an impact, and it'll change your life.
That's powerful. And I can tell you, I can attest to it, right? Like, starting the podcast last year, life's never been better than it is today.
Yeah. Is it incredible? Just by giving, and look what you're doing. You're bringing people in. You're asking incredible questions. You're building a community, and it's impacted, You're impacting a community with incredible content, but it's making a direct impact on you, in your life, in your fulfillment, and what you've done. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
In just 12 months.
Just 12 months. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for watching.
Boom! Got to crush it. Rock the house. Go out there, do some deals. Don't be afraid. Rock the house, and tune in next week.
Next week.
Boom.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.